Jay Connor here, the Private Money Authority, and let me ask you something. What would your life look like if you never missed another family dinner? What if you could fund your real estate deals without ever chasing sellers, cold calling for hours, or making lowball offers that go nowhere? And what if raising private money actually felt simple? Today, I've got a guest and a friend who's lived that transformation. Keith Gillispie went from serving overseas as an active duty Marine, missing his kids growing up, to building a real estate business that operates in 34 states. Now, he's raised over $10 million in private money, and he's helped more than 400 students create both time freedom and financial freedom through real estate. He's the founder of what's called REI Automated, and his approach is very different. No cold calling, no spinning your wheels, no chasing deals that don't pay, just disciplined systems that consistently produce five-figure deals and the confidence to fund them the right way. He's in Florida. He's a dad of two who combines Marine level discipline with real world heart. He's been overwhelmed. He's been stuck. And he figured out how to build a business that serves his life, not the other way around. Now, if you want to raise private money, close better deals, and build a business that actually gives you freedom, you're going to absolutely love this conversation. Don't go anywhere, because you're going to meet my friend and guest, Keith Gillispie, right after this.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Connor.
Keith, my good friend, welcome to Raising Private Money.
Thank you, my friend. What a cool, spectacular opportunity. What an honor. Thanks, Jay, for letting me on the show.
For sure. Well, let's first talk about going from being a Marine to making a bunch of money. You went from missing your your kids' childhood overseas to coaching Little League and being home for dinner every night. So what was the breaking point, the moment where you decided, I'm done living like this?
Well, for everybody's viewing pleasure, this is actually on YouTube. The story that I'm about to describe to you is on YouTube. My wife recorded it. It was 2016, and I had just gotten home from overseas. Haven't seen my wife in a long time, and I come home. She opens the door and she says, "Babe, close your eyes." I'm like, I haven't seen you in so long. Last thing I want to do is close my eyes. Give me a hug. Give me a kiss, And so fine. I drop my sea bags at the door and I close my eyes. She goes, "All right, come on in here." She's recording, mind you. Come inside and look up. So I'm closing my eyes and I look up like this. She says, "Put your hand out." And so I put out my hand. She goes, "Both hands." So I put out both my hands and she puts an object in my hand. She goes, "Feel for it and guess what it is." And so I'm feeling this thing, and it's this round cylindrical thing. And of course, I just got home from overseas with the Marine Corps, and it kind of feels like a pipe bomb. And so in the recording, you can hear me say, "Is it going to explode?" And I stop touching it like my wife would give me a pipe bomb. And she goes, "No, I don't think so." So I'm feeling around for another couple seconds. She goes, "You can open your eyes now." And I look down, and I'm holding a baby bottle with a positive pregnancy test. And that was my wife's way of telling me that she's pregnant. I looked down and I had missed her trimesters, and she didn't tell me the whole time that I was gone. She waited because she wanted to tell me in person. So that's up on YouTube. It's called Surprise You're a Daddy. And fortunately, I was able to be there for our daughter's birth in 2016. And then the very next month, quite literally, I left to go back overseas. And when I came home, the same thing happened. And you think, Keith, this is kind of deja vu. Why would you fall for this twice? But she changed a little bit. This also is up on YouTube. Surprise You're a Daddy #2. where she told me to drop my bags. I come inside, I look up, she says, open your mouth this time rather than hands. She feeds me a cookie, and then she has me guess what it is. I look, there's this cookie that I'm staring at. I'm trying to guess what the heck this cookie is. And in her hand was a plastic baggie with another positive pregnancy test. And in that video, you'll actually see me drop to my knees in disbelief. And there was as much, I'm happy that we're having a baby, also a little bit of a panic. We're having a second baby, and our first one isn't even 2 yet. And also there was I've screwed up twice, right? For anybody who's listening who has kids, especially if you're a man, you know how important it is to be there for your wife's trimesters. And I had missed that 2 times. And for the next several years, I continued to go overseas. I went overseas 13 times. And each time I came home, my wife had to reintroduce me to my children. And for any man, that's difficult, coming home and having your wife have to reintroduce you to your own blood children because they don't know who you are. But for me, this hit a little bit deeper because I lost my dad when I was 8 years old. So I largely, grew up without a father. And I realized that my children at the time, aged 1 and 2, are growing up without a father, just as I had, except I don't have the excuse of being dead. I'm alive, I'm well, I'm choosing this lifestyle. And I can choose not to have this lifestyle. So that was the breaking point for me. I'll never say anything bad about the Marines. I was in for 8 years and it was absolutely wonderful. And I learned so much, but it was good for a season. And the breaking point was when I realized I can choose to do something different.
That's an amazing story. And thank you so much, Keith, for being vulnerable and taking your filter off and sharing that story. If you were to boil down to one sentence, the takeaway from that story, and there's many takeaways, but if you were going to boil it down to one takeaway, what would it be? One sentence. I got mine. Either Keith is in deep concentration or he is frozen up on us. So, Keith, I don't know if you can hear us or not. What do you think there, Scott? Or Sharub, can either one of y'all hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Hey, Scott.
I'm here too. So yeah, he's frozen, Jay. So maybe this is a good time to share your sentence.
Well, my sentence is life is too short. Life is too short not to be living the life, that you want to live. And another big takeaway, and Keith said it right there on the air. He said, we have the option to choose, right? We have the power to choose, what we want to do about that, which reminds me of a very, very powerful formula that I learned from Jack Canfield. And that is E plus R equals O, which stands for whatever event has taken place in your life, you have the power to choose. The R is your response to whatever that event is. And that way you get to determine the outcome of what you are experiencing. So from Keith's story, don't be a victim, be a victor, and know you've got the power to choose.
And one of the things that I got from his story too was he lost his father at 8. And then he woke up to, I'm not dead, or however, I don't know how he lost his dad. I shouldn't say it that way, but I'm just doing what my dad did. I'm not there for my family, just like my dad wasn't there for me. And to me, that was an amazing insight, because when you recognize these things in your life, you can do something about it, right? And,
absolutely.
And he did.
Well, we are definitely going to reschedule Keith to come back on when he's not frozen up and not having a good connection. And just as a little tease as to what we're going to be talking with Keith back on the reschedule, I'm going to take him back to his very first private money capital raise. He's raised over 10 million. And I'm going to have him go back to that first dollar of private money that he raised and how he went about doing it. And then his business model, as far as the type of real estate deals he does, he has a model with no cold calling and no lowball offers. We're going to undress what that looks like. And then we're going to talk about how do you raise private money with very little experience in the business so far? You know, what do you say to the beginner capital raiser who doesn't have deals, track record, or confidence? And obviously, with him operating in 34 states, he's got systems. He has got to have systems in place just like I do. So
And
we're going to
he's
talk
right
about
back.
it.
Jay, he's
Oh,
just
is he
returned.
back?
He rebooted his computer and
You
he
know,
is back.
I didn't reboot my computer yet. It's still in the restarting process. But one of the things that we were taught in the Marines is adapt and overcome. So we're kind of just figuring it out on the fly. And I got my phone up. So here we go.
There you go. Well, I was just talking about the takeaway that I got from your story. Life's too short not to be doing, and living life the way you want to. And then, of course, you talked about how you were able to choose. You were able to choose, and change, and not keep, living the same way. So thank you so much for sharing that story. I want to go, Keith, all the way back to the very first capital raise. You've raised over 10 million in private money, private capital so far, but I want you to take us back to the beginning. How did you raise your very first dollar of private money? What's that story sound like?
Jay, can you say that one more time?
Sure. So I want us to go back.
Good to.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Put my earbuds in, and that way you can have something. Only that was a bad call, and I definitely shouldn't have done that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and just put you through the speakerphone.
All righty, that works.
What I may need to do, I'll be right back, Jay. I'm so sorry.
All right. Well, our editing team will certainly have a good time before this is released as a podcast.
Jay,
For all of you,
I was going to suggest that while we're waiting, we just had our live. Oh, we might be right back now. That was fast.
Yep.
All right.
There he comes.
So sorry, Jay. All
There
right.
we go.
$10 million raised, and then I cut off in the middle.
Sure. And so I want us to go back to that very first dollar of private money that you did raise. How did you go about doing that?
So I was really desperate, to be honest. I had to raise the money, and there was no way possible that I was going to do this deal otherwise. I had this property at the time. I lived in Hawaii. I was 21 years old, and I have nearly no experience in real estate. I had put this property under contract for $1.2 million. And I had it appraised, and it appraised for $2.1 million. So I'm looking at this deal like this is life-changing. This is quite literally life-changing. There's $900,000 of equity. I cannot make this. I cannot allow this deal to be lost. And so what I did is I went to a friend of mine who actually, at the time, he was the president of the Bank of Hawaii. And I said, I need you to fund this deal. So what do you need to know? And he goes, I don't know if I'll be able to fund this deal because you haven't given me all of the information that I need. Great, no problem. What information do you need? And so he told me, and he worked with me. He took so much time out of his day to really walk me through every single thing that he needed to see from me. And what I built from that was a template. And the overarching thing that he taught me that to this day I teach other people is, in life, there's a golden rule, right? Anybody who has a good mother has taught them the golden rule is do unto others as you have them do unto them. However, that's the golden rule of life. Now, the golden rule of business, when it comes especially to raising private money, is he who has the gold makes the rules. He who has the gold makes the rules. And so what he told me, this guy is he has a lot of money, and he has access to way more money. what he told me was, Keith, you should bring every bit of information on a silver platter, consolidate everything, and give me one thing to look at. Just one simple, we call it a one pager, right? Here's one page that shows all the pertinent details, everything that you would need to know at a glance. And then if I want to verify, I need to be able to verify every single thing. I don't want to trust you. So it's like, hey, here's the ARV, but don't trust me. Here's the appraisal. Hey, here's the repair estimate, but don't trust me. Here's the home inspection. Here's the video walkthrough. Here's the scope of work that I've created based on the home inspection. Here's the 3 contractor bids that I have in writing based on the scope of work that was provided. Here's what I'm going to be able to sell it for. Here's my days on market, but don't trust me. Here's the 3 CMAs that I have, so on and so forth. There always needs to be a third-party verification process so that you're not trusting the real estate investor. And you're putting all of this information into one place so that you're not showing your rear when you go to a hard money lender, a private money lender, a bank, whoever's going to finance your deal. And because of that, he funded that deal for me. And I was totally new. I didn't have any money to put up as collateral. I had no experience. But what I did was, number one, I had the deal, and I could prove to him beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was totally safe in funding it. And because of that, he was willing to put up both the purchase price as well as the rehab and get me 100% funded. And he did that in about 6 days. I think it was less than a week.
Now that is an amazing story. And unfortunately, the first deal like that using private money typically does not happen that fast. But
No.
it sounds like you had a good relationship, and it sounds like you knew how to follow instructions. As you were telling that story, it reminded me of what Ronald Reagan used to say when he was president of the United States. Someone would bring him a proposal, and it would be more than one page. And he'd push it back to him across the desk. And he says, when you understand this well enough to put it on one page, bring it back to me.
Yeah. This is very similar to I believe it's Albert Einstein, where he says, if you can't describe it in one sentence, you don't know it well enough.
Right. Very wise, very wise. Let's leave private money for a moment, and let's go over to confidence without cold calling. So you teach this model, you practice this model of no cold calling, no lowballing. And, most real estate investors believe, at least the lowballing is required. Some would say that are very successful with cold calling that's required. But what did you discover that changed the game for you? In other words, how does this work with no cold calling, no lowball offering? What's your model look like?
Well, I'll answer that question, but I'll kind of first describe how I got there. In the beginning, I got started in real estate when I was 20 years old, right? So I have no money and I have no experience. I've got nothing. I definitely cannot be spending a whole bunch of money, pouring into marketing dollars, for example. And so I did do cold calling. I have 990,000 cold calls under my belt. I couldn't make it to 1 million. I hate cold calling so much that I couldn't even do the last 10,000 to say I've made more than 1 million cold calls. I've done all the door knocking and the pounding the pavement, right? Driving for dollars, bandit signs, direct mail, text blasting, ringless voicemails, magnets, you name it. I've done it, except for TV or radio. I don't have a TV face. So in the beginning, that's what I did because I couldn't do anything else. However, I learned through the school of hard knocks, really, and spending a lot of money. I've spent more than $1 million just on these outbound calling, or let's just call it outbound marketing, that I like solving people's problems, and I do it much faster and more effectively when they're coming to me. So I've switched my business acquisition strategy quite a bit, like fundamentally. From 2016 to 2020, I was outbound. From 2020 to present day 2026, it's all inbound. They are coming to me. And what this does is it creates an interesting sales frame and dynamic. Remember earlier, the golden rule, he who has the gold makes the rules. Well, I like it. The gold doesn't necessarily mean monetary, money. It could mean value. So when you're going to the person, let's say you're cold calling, when you're going to the person saying, hey, I'm looking to buy a house in your area. Are you looking to sell 123 Main Street? They're the one with the gold because you're going after it, right? You're trying to buy their house. However, it's an interesting dynamic when they're coming to you to sell their house because they have a problem and you hold the solution, whether that be a quick close that's super easy, or buying it in as-is condition, or taking care of dirty title or heirs, or bringing them out of foreclosure or default, whatever it may be. They're coming to you and trusting you to solve their problem. And so I got really good at solving people's problems: divorce, inheritance, pre-foreclosure, health issues, safety issues, tired landlords. Those are the folks that I've gotten really good at helping them solve their problems. And I don't do it with these low ball, dirty offers. I feel like that's disrespectful. I feel like you're trying to throw money at the problem rather than working on yourself. Understanding that money is not the thing that they need. They have an issue. They have a house, and they have raised their hand asking for your help. I feel like if you throw money at every single thing, you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And if money solves it, they may as well just list it on the MLS with an agent.
Based on what you just shared, Keith, I bet you can tell many, many case examples, stories of sellers that you have served them, provided a solution, purchased their property, and they had an offer or offers from other people offering them more money.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you brought them something that the other offers did not bring.
Yes.
If it's not money, what is it that you brought? I know the
Confidence,
answer, but I want to hear you say, do that.
Yeah. So there's many, and it's going to be different for each person. But a lot of times those people, they just want the confidence that you're going to close. Somebody else came in and offered a super high offer. Oh, that's interesting, Jay. Just out of curiosity, why didn't you accept their offer? That's a totally reasonable, I love saying this. That's a totally reasonable offer. Why didn't you accept it?
Right.
Well, because he, whatever it is, because he didn't walk the property, because I didn't have a gut feeling about him, because he doesn't have any experience, because he said that he needed to get, it was contingent upon satisfactory verification of his business partner, whatever it is. Now, all these things that people are taught to say or put into a contract. Well, that person needs confidence in your ability to close. Other people, they need a little bit more creativity. They want to know that you are solving their actual problem, and they don't, like, let's say their problem is they're getting a divorce and they hate their ex-husband and they just don't want to do anything with him. They don't want to make decisions with him. They're not in an amicable situation. Well, that dude was going to put them both in the same room and make them sign the agreement together. And this is just going to turn into a fight, and they don't want to deal with it. Cool. So I like to ask those questions and solve the real root of the problem rather than, like I said, throwing money at the situation. So sometimes they need confidence, speed, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, and that happens when you are a person such as yourself that actually cares about the other people, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
I don't believe that genuine concern and leading with a servant's heart can be faked.
Right.
I think people sense,
They feel it.
They feel it. Where's the other person coming from? Beautiful. Well, one thing that I said about you in the introduction is that you do deals. You've done deals in 34 states. So obviously that's not hustle. That's systems. You don't do business in 34 states without systems.
Yeah.
What systems do you have in place that have allowed you to scale nationally without burning out?
I take a Mickey D's approach to this. So if you were to go, you probably have a McDonald's, within a couple of minutes of your house because they're nationwide, as do I. So if we were to both go to McDonald's right now, and order a Big Mac, and we were to come back and we were to look at it, and we were to smell it, and we were to take a bite, and we were going to taste it, those Big Macs, despite thousands of miles between us, those Big Macs are going to come out looking the same, smelling the same, and tasting the same. How is that possible? Well, it's possible because they use the same ingredients and they have the same exact process, down to, like, literally, call it micromanaging, but I think that it's excellent systems. I don't like McDonald's because it gives me gas in it and it'll make you fat. But their systems, bar none, are perfect. They have this down to a science, down to what is the exact temperature of that griddle before you put the burger on it. And then, you put the lid on it and you press the timer. And when the timer is done, it gets the most irritating beeping until you lift it up and take the burger out, right? They don't even trust you to put the right amount of mayonnaise, because some of you really like your mayonnaise and you're a little heavy-handed on it, when other people like me, we don't really like that mayonnaise, so we're not going to put that much. Well, they have a pump, and when you squeeze that pump, it's the same exact amount of pressure. It's the same exact amount of mayonnaise, down to the pickles. Y'all notice whenever you go to McDonald's, there's always 3 pickles, and those pickles are all within 3 millimeters of each other. Everything is systemized. Well, everything in your business should run on a Mickey D's conveyor belt. Everything. How you triage a seller, how you analyze the deal, how you structure the deal, how you present it, how you put the property under contract, how you raise private money. Everything needs to be a system, so that whether it's Jay or whether it's Scott or whether it's Keith doing it, you're always going to end up with the same result. And whether you're buying the house in Florida or Tennessee or Hawaii or California or Virginia, it's the same. No matter the condition or the price point or the location, every single house goes through the same exact conveyor belt, despite all being different houses and different locations and different price points and different conditions. It does not matter. Once you have a system that can handle all of this, the houses can be different. The people within your company can be different. Think about the churn rate of a McDonald's employee. The people can be different. Nonetheless, the product is always the same.
What are a couple of key elements of your systems that you have in place that keeps everything consistent, like that Mickey D's conveyor belt?
So it starts with the marketing, the type of marketing that we're doing. It's all, at this point, it's all automated and systemized. So it's the same quality of the lead. It's the same quality and the same quantity of leads coming in. Therefore, we don't have any fulfillment bottlenecks, right? And then when the lead comes in, the script that we use in order to triage, it's the same questions, but our script is a dynamic script. So most of the time when you're taking a sales course or negotiation course or neurolinguistic programming, when it comes to sale, it's always like what's it called when it doesn't move? It's a static script. Ours is a dynamic script. We've built it out in our software. This is one of the things that we provide in REI Automated, is a scripting software, which means that as the conversation changes with the seller, the script changes right before your eyes. This way, whether I'm doing it or Miss K is doing it or Sam is doing it, that triage call is the same. Here's something that it seems obvious, but people don't really realize this, is if you are the variable in your business, your results will vary. You must be the constant in your business. The only variable is the seller. And it's your job to direct the seller in every capacity in order to ensure quality control. And that's what that triage call does. That's the first step in our sales process. Then we go into the deal analysis. Well, what's step 1 of the deal analysis? Well, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by, is that Stephen Covey or is that?
That's it. Stephen Covey. Yep.
Okay, cool. Stephen Covey teaches us, begin with the end in mind. Well, for you and I as a real estate investor, the end that I have in mind may be, what can I sell this house for? Or what will I be able to rent it for? Whatever it is, right? Depending on their exit strategy. Well, let's now reverse engineer that process. Okay, cool. So if it's ARV, for example, if we're going to flip it, how are we determining our ARV? That's the same exact process. Again, no matter if Jay, Scott, or Keith is analyzing the deal, we go through the same exact process to pull those comps. That's step 1 of the deal analysis. Now, step 2, estimate the repairs, right? Here, some may call it a gap analysis. Here's the condition of the house right now, and here's the condition that we're going to get it to. Is this gap $5,000 or is it $50,000? Well, we're going to go through the same exact repair estimate process, no matter who's doing it. So now, step one, we know our ARV. Number two, we know our repairs, so that, number three, we can structure the deal. We have all these different entrance strategies. Are we going to buy it cash? Are we going to buy a step two? Are we going to buy owner financing? Are we going to use a DSCR loan? Or what about our exit strategies? Are we going to wholesale it? Are we going to wholesale it? Are we going to retail it? Are we going to wrap it? Are we going to rent it? Are we going to novate it? Are we going to do a lease option? There's all these fun tools at our disposal. A lot of people get overwhelmed with this, but when you have a system that you can plug into and repeatedly do the same thing and everybody gets the same result, man, that is really good, and it simplifies your process. So that's our deal analysis process. Each and every one of these stages that I'm talking about, whether it be your triage call or your deal analysis or your perfect presentation or your purchase and sales agreement or your renegotiation or your raising private money, everything needs to have an SOP. We do our SOPs very specifically. We write it out for the people who are like visual, they like reading. I shouldn't have used visual. Those are not, I'm a visual learner. I like seeing it in a mind map. So we write it out for the people who enjoy reading. And then visual illustration. I like seeing that mind map, that flow chart. And then we record a video, super short video, right? 30 seconds, 3 minutes. And we'll take a video showing exactly how to do that process and why we do what we do. Because at that point, we can turn that SOP around. Almost every single one of my virtual assistants gets paid $5 per hour, plus bonus, plus commission. We have $5 per hour virtual assistants running a 7-figure company. And we're only able to do that because we've broken every single task down into an SOP that's been visually illustrated. And we have a video example of how it's done and why. Every single step in our business, just like McDonald's.
That makes so much sense. So much sense, Keith. One thing you said more than one time is you used the word triage. Triage this deal or triage this situation. And I love your using of that word, because when someone goes into the ER, the first thing they do is go into triage.
This is how we came up with yes. You're
right?
going to give my example of how I've never heard it. Go ahead. Keep going. I love this.
Yeah. And so what I love about you framing it as a triage conversation. Well, what do they do in triage? They are diagnosing what the potential problem is. Yes. And so I'm going to give you a definition of malpractice that you will be using, Keith. So here we go.
I do this.
Yes. And so here it is. If you give someone a prescription before diagnosing, that is malpractice.
That's exactly correct. Right? That's exactly correct.
Well, and I mean, that's my same approach on raising private money. I mean, if I start talking to somebody about my amazing opportunity and the high rates of return you're going to receive by becoming one of my private lenders, I am malpracticing because
you're chasing.
I haven't even diagnosed that they have a problem. You know, I share to my mastermind members and my students all the time. I say, look, you got to diagnose and see if they even have a problem. Like, you know, I love by the way phrases, by the way conversations. I'll be in the conversation with someone else, say, by the way, you know, with all the crazy things going on in the market these days, how's your investments working for you? How's your retirement fund working for you? Well, if somebody says, man, I made 15% last year with my investments, guess what? I just diagnosed they don't have a problem. And what am I going to say? Right. I'm going to say, man, where are you getting 15%? I want some of that. Right. I'm not even bringing up my private money opportunity. But on the other hand, if they say something like, oh man, my 401k is going nowhere. I just diagnosed I might have a solution to their 401k going nowhere. Exactly right. I could talk to you about this stuff all day long, but I'm not going to. Listen, I know my audience wants to continue the conversation with you. They want to learn from you about all these systems that you've got in place on automating your business. How can people learn more from Keith Gillispie and get in touch with you?
I have two ways that I would direct you. The first is just Google my name and find me on Facebook. If you find me on Facebook, my last name is spelled a little bit weird. So it's Keith Gillispie. Gillispie is spelled Gillispie. Hit me up on Facebook any and every way that I can possibly help you, even for free. I will do it. And then another way to kind of see a little bit more about what we do is you can actually go to my website, and we have a demo video on there. To go to our website, reiautomated.io, and we have a demo video. It's just a couple minutes, maybe about 15 minutes, where you can see a little bit more about what we do. And one of the things that I do is actually I give out my courses absolutely for free to anybody who's a part of Jay Conner's community. So if you're listening to this podcast, I want to give you our courses for free. And this teaches you the system behind every single thing that we do, whether it's marketing or triaging or deal analysis or deal structure, raising private money. Whatever it is, it's all yours for free. You can choose any one of my courses by going to the website. You don't even have to, there's no bait and switch. You don't have to pay me. There's no anything. I would never do that to no matter what, I wouldn't do that to anybody, but I definitely wouldn't do that to anybody who's listening to Jay Conner. Anybody who is a part of his community, I love him very much. He's absolutely one of the best. You are being led by somebody who is so knowledgeable, and his reputation precedes him everywhere he goes. He's one of the very best of the best and has been in the business for a very long time. So keep listening to him. And if you want to check me out too, then find me on Facebook, go to our website. You can get a free course there.
Well, that is so kind and so generous of you, Keith. I want to give out that URL one more time right now. That's www.reiautomated.io/demo. And that'll get you plugged into Keith. Keith, thank you so much for that amazing gift. And I got to have you back on. We got to keep the conversation going, Keith.
We'll do it back on without any internet connectivity issues. My goodness, I'm so sorry.
There you go. All right. Thank you so much, Keith. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jay.
All right. Let's land this plane. If you got value from this conversation with Keith, here's the big takeaway, or another big takeaway. Freedom is engineered. Keith didn't accidentally raise over $10 million in private money. He didn't accidentally build a business that lets him be home for dinner. He built systems. He took action, and he decided he was done out on missing out on life. Well, guess what? You can do the same. You don't need more information. You need implementation. So here's my challenge. In the next 48 hours, take one step. Actually, take two steps. The first step I want you to take is go to Keith Gillespie's website there that we talked about and take advantage of his beautiful offer. And secondly, within the next 48 hours, I want you to call a potential private lender, set an appointment, share your opportunity, do something that moves you forward. Now, if this episode has got you fired up, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to share this podcast with at least one real estate investor who needs to hear it. Text them the link, post it on social media, tag me, help me get this message into the hands of more real estate investors who are tired of chasing hard money and ready to raise private money the right way. And if you haven't already, subscribe, leave a review, let me know what you are taking action on. Your reviews help this show reach more people. And that means more real estate investors funding more deals without relying on banks. I'm Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority, and this is Raising Private Money. Now go take action, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide. And download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.